You ever thought about how people got drunk back in the day? Not just any day, but way back in ancient Mesopotamia. Well, buckle up because this ain't your grandpa's tale of boozing it up. Imagine this: you're living in one of the world's first civilizations, where the wheels were still being invented. But guess what? They already had their own ways to get tipsy. And let me tell you, some of these techniques and drinks were so out there, they'd make your head spin faster than a pottery wheel. Now, you might be thinking, ancient people getting drunk? That sounds like a history lesson waiting to happen. But hold your horses. This isn't just about dates and dead kings. It's about the good stuff, the drinks that made them forget all about building ziggurats and inventing writing. So, here's the deal. In ancient Mesopotamia, getting drunk wasn't just for fun. It was a serious business. They had their own version of happy hour, complete with weird concoctions and rituals that would make even the wildest frat party look tame. Let's start with the basics. The Mesopotamians were big fans of beer. But not just any beer. We're talking about a brew that was more like a thick, chewy porridge. Imagine sipping something that looks like oatmeal through a straw. Yeah, that's right, a straw. Because drinking from a cup was so last season. But why go through all this trouble? Well, in those days, clean water was hard to come by. So, they turned to beer as a safer alternative. Plus, it had that little extra kick that made everything seem a bit rosier. It was like their version of a magic potion, minus the fairy dust. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear about their other drinks. They had this thing called kvaser, which was basically fermented honey mixed with all sorts of herbs and spices. It was like a medieval version of a cocktail, but with a twist. And let's not forget about the wine. They didn't just drink it, they worshipped it. Wine was so important that they even had gods dedicated to it. Talk about taking your drinking seriously. But here's the kicker. These ancient folks didn't just drink to get drunk. They had a whole philosophy behind it. Drinking was a social activity, a way to bond with friends and family. It was a time to share stories, solve problems, and maybe even start a few arguments. Sound familiar? So, next time you're at a bar, sipping on your fancy craft beer or savoring that glass of wine, remember the Mesopotamians. They were doing it thousands of years ago, and they were doing it with style. From chewy beer to honey cocktails, they knew how to have a good time. Drop your thoughts below. What ancient Mesopotamian boozy secrets should we uncover next? Now, let's dive deeper into how they pulled off these drinking feats. You see, it wasn't just about mixing ingredients and hoping for the best. They had their own set of rules and techniques that made their drinks stand out. For starters, they were masters of fermentation. They knew exactly how long to leave their brews to get that perfect buzz. Too short, and it was just sweet liquid. Too long, and well, let's just say things could get a bit funky. They had to strike that delicate balance, and they did it with precision. And when it came to ingredients, they didn't hold back. They used everything from barley and wheat to dates and grapes. They even threw in some unexpected additions like herbs, spices, and even tree sap. It was like a mad scientist's experiment, but with a delicious outcome. But here's where it gets really interesting. They didn't just drink these concoctions for fun. They believed that certain drinks had special powers. Like, if you drank a particular type of beer, it could cure your ailments or bring you good luck. It was like having a magical elixir right in your cup. And let's not forget about the rituals. Drinking wasn't just about quenching your thirst. It was a sacred act. They had ceremonies and festivals dedicated to their drinks. They would gather around, raise their cups, and toast to the gods. It was a way to connect with each other and with the divine. So, imagine yourself in ancient Mesopotamia, surrounded by friends and family, sipping on a thick, chewy beer through a straw. The air is filled with the aroma of herbs and spices, and everyone is sharing stories and laughter. It's a scene straight out of a time machine, but it's also a reminder of how people have always found ways to enjoy life. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear about their drinking games. Yes, they had drinking games too. They would challenge each other to chug down their brews, or see who could hold their liquor the longest. It was like a friendly competition, but with a twist. The winner got bragging rights, and the loser got a hangover. But here's the thing. Despite all the fun and games, they also knew when to stop. They understood the importance of moderation. They didn't want to end up in a drunken stupor, unable to function. They wanted to enjoy their drinks, but they also wanted to stay in control. So, next time you're out with friends, raising a glass to good times, remember the Mesopotamians. They were the pioneers of drinking culture, and they did it with style and grace. From their unique techniques to their sacred rituals, they showed us that drinking isn't just about getting drunk, it's about creating memories and connecting with others. And if you're curious about more ancient boozy secrets, stick around. We've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to discover about how our ancestors enjoyed their drinks. Who knows? Maybe you'll find a new favorite recipe or two. Drop your thoughts below. What ancient Mesopotamian boozy secrets should we uncover next? But before we move on, let's take a moment to appreciate the ingenuity of these ancient folks. They didn't have fancy equipment or advanced technology, but they managed to create drinks that were both delicious and intoxicating. They used what they had: natural ingredients, simple tools, and a whole lot of creativity. Think about it. They figured out how to ferment grains and fruits, extract flavors from herbs and spices, and even create drinks with medicinal properties. All of this without the help of modern science. It's a testament to their resourcefulness and their deep understanding of nature. And let's not forget about the cultural significance of their drinks. In ancient Mesopotamia, drinking wasn't just a physical act, it was a social and spiritual one. It brought people together, fostered community bonds, and even played a role in religious practices. It was an integral part of their daily lives, and it shaped their society in profound ways. So, as we continue to explore the world of ancient drinks, let's keep this in mind. Let's appreciate the rich history and cultural heritage behind each sip. Let's learn from the past and apply those lessons to our present. Because after all, drinking isn't just about the alcohol, it's about the experience, the connections, and the stories we create along the way. And speaking of stories, there's one more fascinating aspect of ancient Mesopotamian drinking culture that we can't ignore. They had their own version of mixology. Just like today's bartenders, they experimented with different combinations of ingredients to create unique and flavorful drinks. They would blend various types of grains, fruits, and herbs to achieve different tastes and effects. Some drinks were sweet and fruity, while others were bitter and herbal. They even created layered drinks, similar to our modern-day cocktails. It was a true art form, and they took great pride in their creations. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear about their serving vessels. They didn't just pour their drinks into plain cups, they had elaborate containers made of clay, stone, and even precious metals. These vessels were often decorated with intricate designs and symbols, adding to the overall drinking experience. So, imagine yourself sitting at a table, holding a beautifully crafted vessel filled with a unique and flavorful drink. The aroma fills your senses, and you take a sip, savoring the taste. It's not just a drink, it's a work of art, a symbol of their culture and creativity. And let's not forget about the social dynamics at play. Drinking wasn't just a solitary activity, it was a communal one. People would gather in taverns and homes, sharing drinks and stories. It was a way to build relationships, resolve conflicts, and strengthen community ties. It was a social glue that held their society together.